Welcome back. We are here for the Between Dancing on Strings, episode 16. So we have a Mask of the Past that is outstanding. So, yeah, just let us know what the prompt is, Amanda, and take it away.
Yeah, the Mask of the Past I'm doing today is narrate a flashback to the time when you were bestowed the spark of life and the concern your creator showed over this development. We see a montage of this this hedge witch on the outskirts of the city, bundled up, walking slowly along the dirt path as she trundles up to some large wrought iron gates and pushes them open. There's no squeak, they're very well maintained. And up a very finely manicured lawn with shaped topiaries to a large set of oak doors where she clicks the knocker 3 times. A serving man opens the door, welcomes her in with a bit of disdain on his face. But the lady of the house rushes down the large staircase, just ecstatic to see her. "Oh, you've come just in time," she says. And the hedge witch nods and says, "It's ready. It's ready for her now. This should do it. This should help her." We see a montage, part of the montage again. The lady of the house taking this exquisite doll with red ringed hair and glass bead eyes, rushing it up the stairs, placing it in the bed next to her sick daughter. Also red ringlet hair and glassy eyes, putting it next to her, tucking it in. "Oh, my dearling daughter, this this doll, it's going to work. It's going to take all of the sickness out of you and take it into itself. And you'll be well. You'll be well." The lord of the house, looking down his nose at the hedge witch, hands her a sack full of gold and coin and opens the door to usher her on her way back home. Time passes. Not a lot of time. It's never enough time. And we see the hedge witch trundling up another dirt road. This time it's the middle of the night, and she is following a strange compass that she has in her hand. "What are you leading me to? What is this?" she says to the compass, leading her into a cemetery up to the grave of the young girl who was just buried this weekend after succumbing to her illness. The witch knows which grave the young girl is in. She knows the compass is leading her there. "Why are you doing this to me? Do I need my failures rubbed into my face?" But as she gets closer to the grave, she sees what seems like the shape of a young girl cradling a doll, sitting on the grass with her back on the tombstone. But as she gets closer, she realizes, no, it's the other way around. The doll is cradling the body of the girl, and it looks up at her and says, "I've been waiting for you. I'm Marybelle. Why did you take so long to find me?" And the decomposing body of the child falls to the ground into the open grave that the doll had climbed herself out of. As Marybelle stands up, and the hedge witch just looks on in horrified awe.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I'll move on to review the rewards that were. I posted them in our chat before we hurriedly left um, for last session, but I will speak them out loud, and then if you guys had reviewed them, then just kind of like, pick out what you want from the list. Okay, so we had the pressed emerald orchid, sealed in heavy glass and hung on a silver pendant. Distracting, alluring, draws attention to the wearer. Add it to your personal quarters. We can say that like maybe there was like some kind of remnant left over and found after the initial emerald orchid tree was dispatched. Um, a tin of fine tea leaves, sparkling with fragments of jewel green petals. Drinking provides a euphoric clarity and visions of possible futures. Add it to to your personal quarters. An etched silver box of mantis green eyeshadow grants the wearer an otherworldly glamour. Add it to your personal quarters. A tincture of orchid nectar. A single drop transports the user on a vivid journey through the void from which the first seeds of shadowy root-like creatures blossomed. Hungry and curious. Add it to your personal quarters. And finally, a memento from the investigation. Ask another hunter what it is, and then add it to your personal quarters. One reward to each hunter. What do you pick?
I'm going to second a line or a message sent by Rob. We didn't do too terribly much with the threat. It feels that it's appropriate for Kemuel and Marybelle to pick first.
These were posted in the Discord chat. So yes, Marybelle and Kemuel get first pick.
I think Kemuel would like the etched silver box of mantis green eyeshadow.
Go for it.
I think I'm going to take the tea leaves. Yeah, tea leaves.
Okay.
Daymond will collect the tincture of nectar, of orchid nectar.
And that leaves me with the one I actually would have picked anyway, which is the pressed emerald orchid. Pendant.
So go ahead and add those items to your personal quarters. We have entered into day phase. Again, remembering that for any scene that you want to have, someone needs to be engaged in their vice. If they are engaged in their vice with yet another hunter, whomsoever's vice it is, that person needs to set up the scene. If you need any help, like is in comforting the dying, I will provide a dying for you if you need to. And if you don't have any condition that you want to get rid of, then, feel free and have a scene. That's perfectly fine.
Well, I am definitely loaded up on conditions. And
feel free
also,
to address anything that has come up during the nighttime. If I remember correctly, we do have a guest or two coming to Hargrave House, and there may be some consequence coming ever nearer to Kemuel for what happened at Kew Gardens last night.
Consequences for their actions?
that's not
Maybe.
what being undeniable is about.
And Daymond may be coming home with a new suit. I need a description of what this new suit looks like, by the way.
Absolutely. We can give you a brief description of this new suit
Okey-doke.
to buy more time while we decide who speaks with whom about what.
Okay.
It is unlike anything in Damon's closet and repertoire. Most of his clothing is dark. He has a surprising number of maroon, burgundy suits, none of which he actually has bought for himself. They just appear in the closet. He's got church-going outfits, black suits, father's collar, and other things, but the suit that he walks into Hargrave House wearing is like none of these. It is tan, bright in color. It is this lovely, lush cream fabric. There is no pattern on the jacket itself. The shirt itself is a black that in the right sunlight flecks green and blue. The tie. I'm not sure exactly why the seamstress picked this pattern, but is silver like his hair. It is not a solid tie. It is see-through. No, not even see-through. It has holes in it, made in a spider-webbed pattern. And it is precisely because it is a suit that he thinks he purchased. He's pretty sure he purchased it. It is a suit that he bought that gives him this sense of control. It wasn't gifted. It wasn't foisted upon him. It is his. And that is what gives him the feeling of control while he wears it.
What did you pay for the suit, Mr. Gray? I think you hear this voice deep within. Perhaps it is more of a growl. What did you pay for the suit?
For the first time in perhaps forever, Daymond doesn't answer. There's no need to. But I think the moment turns just a little bit dark as out from a pocket a receipt would fall. I leave it to you as to what's actually written there. But it isn't $1, or it isn't a pound figure. Something else.
We'll see. I think, though, gleaming on one of your tables in your room, though, is the almanac. Do you feel any guilt whatsoever when this book shines on your table when you come in with your new suit?
Guilt would imply that something bad has occurred, that something wrong has happened, that there's something to be remorseful for. There isn't. Daymond would, however, pick up the almanac, the Hyades' finger running down the spine, and flip to a page. Perhaps the page for last night. Lean in close to the paper, lips dancing on non-moving ink for the past. You always knew this night was coming. That doesn't change anything about us. Before the book gets lovingly placed on the other pillow in Daymond's bed.
Who next do we see? As the camera pans out of Mr. Gray's room. Down the hallway? Downstairs, perhaps? Where does the camera go next?
I think Marybelle is actually going to go and knock on Mr. Gray's door. Knock, knock.
Yes.
And she just walks in. Mr. Gray. It's I, Marybelle.
I gathered that by your visage, and that you announced yourself after opening the door.
Is that not the correct way of order of operations?
Generally, one would announce themselves before entering.
Yet you told me to come in without me announcing myself.
I believe I just said yes.
Is that not acceptance of the knock?
That would be acceptance at the start of conversation.
And it is not impolite to do it through the door?
The introduction to a moment needs a little sort of breather. I stand here, you stand there. There is a wall between us. Those about wonder what they would say. And as I say, those around us, I would take the Hyades and place it back on the bookshelf. It is to prevent accidental eavesdropping, or to cause intentional.
Well, I assure you I was not eavesdropping.
I don't think you know the meaning of the word, Marybelle.
I do not. What does it mean?
It is something that you should never do to Kemuel, and perhaps should do more often to Val. It is to listen to what someone is saying without their knowledge.
Is that not considered immoral?
If someone is speaking loud enough to be overheard, do they not secretly want someone to hear them?
Ah, I never
That,
thought of that.
that is why Kemuel cannot be eavesdropped on. They always want to be heard. And Val so rarely does.
Is that why Val is so quiet?
I think it's more to do with Val trying to think of the right words to say in a moment. Like they are mesmerized with it all. Especially that
I
young.
find Val to be
Hmm,
quite hesitant. For true, they, my apologies. For true, they do act with some gusto when there is action to be clearly taken. But in moments where it is not clear, or in conversation, Val does tend towards hesitancy.
that they do, and yet they seem to have taken swift action on their own accord, for their own well-being. Have you been introduced to the young delight that Valentine has brought back to the house?
We have another house guest.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
I find myself unimpressed with Hattie.
I don't know why that took me as a surprise. You, of all people, would be unimpressed by a chemist skeleton, as you are, I guess, no more flesh and blood than she is, literally speaking.
That is quite so. And yet she seems to be so weak.
Isn't everyone weak in their own ways?
I should hope
I'm,
I'm not.
you are, trust me. You are weak in certain aspects. Your ability to read subtlety is not a strong suit. For me, physical strength. For Val, it seems to be staying in the moment. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, and it is that together which brings our good house success. Not a single one of us could have synthesized that toxin that Hattie did other than she.
Perhaps. Perhaps there is something to be said about her weakness.
Try not to look at the weaknesses of others, but look for their strengths. When you do look for weakness, do not look to exploit it. Look to support it, to help them where you are strong and they are weak.
Because humans choose to improve upon their weaknesses?
Some do, some don't. Each person seeks to grow themselves in a unique way. Some focus on their strengths, trying to take them to the extremes, like that fellow who beat through our door. Others seek to diversify, to take the best of what they are given. The orchid, for example. It spread its roots wide. It did not focus on a single thing. It brought a collective together
Yes, and then we destroyed it.
because it wanted to do something which we and all of England consider bad. It robbed us of our free will.
If, like you say, I also have weaknesses, I should wish to improve upon them. Perhaps Hattie does not wish to, and I'm just different. But I'm not human. Do you believe I have the capacity to change in such a way?
Marybelle, this
Yes, Mr. Gray?
morning, when you first woke up, after you'd...
I do not sleep.
Pardon the metaphor. This morning, what was the first thing that you did? I believe that you do it every day.
I cleaned my parts.
And did that not improve them?
It does not improve them, it maintains them.
Perhaps I'm going about this the wrong way. Your pots are interchangeable, yes?
In some cases, yes.
And you change them out to best suit the day ahead, do you not?
I do try to analyze the probability that I will need a specific part.
And have you ever not used a part?
In many cases, yes.
And have you learned from that, reevaluated your assessment of future days for what part is needed?
Is that similar to improving oneself?
I would say so. You found something about yourself, in this case, how you determined parts that you need, and you changed it, ideally and hopefully, for the better.
And this might actually be getting a little too close to questioning your backstory, but we'll see if
Go
Mads
for
lets
it.
me say it. And do you believe that this power of yours, and I gesture to your body where all the silver threads are, is that a strength or a weakness?
It is both. There are moments where I can glimpse into the future, moments where I can speak to those which cannot speak. The skull that Kemuel placed so lovingly in our foyer, for example. And yet there are times when that same power, gesturing to the threads, asks me to do things that I would rather not. But I must.
Do you not seek to improve that situation, wherein you have the power, but you also retain your free will?
Tell her what you have to do. Tell her what you have to do to keep your power.
No, Marybelle, I have not considered changing that bargain. It was not made by me. It was made on my behalf, and it is one that I must live with.
Conditions?
Perhaps that is another consideration I should have for humans. there seemed to be a lot of bargains made on their behalf in various different ways. Thank you very much, Mr. Gray. I hope you have a good night. And I turn and leave.
Take a look at conditions. What do you think you've talked about enough to, release, or did you double down?
So, I was initially getting rid of mesmerized, but I think we managed to turn it enough into a wolf in shepherd's clothing.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, that's pretty good. I'm gonna to get rid of seem a little bit more human.
Yeah, you guys seem to be veering more towards those things. I mean, it felt like those were the things that you were addressing more. So, yeah, go ahead and take those off for sure. So, did you want to stumble upon a clue, Marybelle, or was that your question? Oh, actually, no,
Oh,
it would
no,
basically
because the
be,
question be asked of me.
yeah, yeah. Did you want Daymond to ask you a question?
Yeah, why not? Let's get a question. Let's do a question.
Okay.
I'll let you think about it. You don't have to do it right now.
All right.
You
So
can catch Marybelle before they leave the door.
yeah. So what? While you're thinking about it, Daymond, Val, Kemuel, did you want to do a vulnerable scene, a vulnerable move?
I'm going with Kemuel. This could be
Sure.
There's just
interesting.
so much. God damn.
Sure.
I don't care. Whichever one wants to have a place and play. Sorry, you both have house guests now, so yeah.
Yeah, how do you want to set this up? But since Val is assuming, I don't know how much time has passed, but like if it's the next day, Val is pretty much bedridden, I think.
Maybe it's been a day or two, perhaps. I mean, like, you don't have to go jumping right into like other stuff right away because, yeah, it's like Val's kind of recovering from the claw wounds and such. The Abernathy's have not said they have found out who had brought that, that terrible beast that scratched you up, Val. So, they're still doing their own internal investigation. But in the meantime, I mean, Isobel's been quite attentive.
And that, yeah, it's going to be a very interesting person for Kemuel to meet.
Mm-mm.
I mean, my suggestion would be perhaps in the. Did we ever do the conservatory in Hargrave House? I'm just wondering, I can kind of picture Val and Isobel sitting there.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, perhaps reading. Or Val is reading while Isobel is maybe fetching coffee or something like that.
Okay.
And Kemuel could appear in the meantime.
Yeah, that works.
How is
Unless you want to count Val as dying in order to make it about Kemuel's
Oh.
That's
Oh God. Well, I mean, I was gonna ask. It's like, how is Val dressed, recuperating, and what is Kemuel wearing?
Kemuel is wearing what would be a pretty standard men's frock coat and a waistcoat and trousers. Pretty typical for the time and the fashion in London, but it is all in a really dazzling, almost neon bright purple.
And I think Val is in probably some silk pajamas with a woolen blanket over them, sitting. And I think we can see at the edges of you know, maybe by the neck and so on, we can see like there are bandages and dressings still present. And yeah, they'll look up as Kemuel comes in and place their book down. Kemuel,
Ah.
that's quite an eye-catching color.
How kind of you to notice. How are you keeping, Valentine? Enjoying the conservatory as you recover your health?
I am finding the morning light, although it is cold outside. The sun coming in here is quite warming still for the time of year. Do you, Kemuel, are you on your way somewhere important?
We have many happy memories here in the conservatory of Hargrave House. And they kind of wander over to the big yucca tree, stoop down to touch the roots. Many happy memories indeed. We hear tell that a new lodger has joined us here in Hargrave House.
I think Val fixes Kemuel with a look. She is under my protection, Kemuel.
Ah, who are you protecting her from, Valentine?
Anyone and everyone who may wish her harm.
Just so. I'm sure she feels safe as houses under your watchful eye. But tell me, these injuries, you sustained them at the Society Obscura?
I did. In one particular room, it seems, of the many rooms in that house, I happened upon, well, I don't quite know how to explain, but the space was most unusual, and whatever it was that attacked me, well, I don't precisely understand how it could have gone unnoticed in there. Somebody must have brought it into the building. Unless there is something rather more strange about the house than we had suspected. What did your investigation uncover, Kemuel, or did the Abernathy's flattery of you as they took your photograph render your investigatory powers rather underwhelming?
They did not make our portrait yet. But we discovered that Cyrus and Portia are quite charming individuals. That's why we're so shocked to hear you sustained these injuries under their care.
Well, I would not say I was under their cares. precisely. I don't believe they knew that I was there. I was
Ah,
indulging in a little clandestine investigation of my own.
ah.
Perhaps poking my nose where it was not wanted.
Yes, perhaps this room you speak of was, or is, one of those places where the boundaries are soft. Perhaps you stumbled into somewhere you ought not have been.
Perhaps the thought did occur to me, but at the same time, it seemed something from a fanciful tale, and I waved the book that they had been reading. I
Ah,
don't know if such things are really to be credited, when there may be a more straightforward explanation.
what wisdom does your story of the day offer us here?
In this regard, very little, I should imagine. Although-
Nevertheless, Gauss, please continue.
Well, it does rather put me in mind of the feeling that I was somewhat primordial in that room. But perhaps that was the effect the Abernethys wished to achieve.
Perhaps so.
In what milieu did they place you, Kemuel?
We will be portraying Paris in a sort of Olympian theater. Yes, we are most excited about having our likeness captured in this way. Most excited indeed.
Paris, the son of a shepherd, if I recall my Greek mythology correctly, who was beloved of Aphrodite. I would have imagined you placed yourself rather as a Hector or an Achilles, Kemuel.
Droll as ever, Valentine. Nevertheless, we are delighted to see that you are recovering from these grievous injuries so well as to have jollity to offer on this fine morning.
I'm glad I can brighten your day, Kemuel.
Yes, consider it a bit of service. You have indeed brightened our day.
Any conditions addressed? I mean,
I was thinking, just as a matter of passing time, that we could wipe out defensive cuts, given that Val has a more serious injury. I don't know that we really addressed that.
And we did talk about healing a fair amount, I suppose.
We did, yeah.
that's fine.
And you were on the
That was
verbal
convalescent.
offensive.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Like it. Like it. Yeah, I'll take it.
About for Kemuel is condition free at the
no
moment.
conditions.
Yeah, because somebody decided to go hog wild on taking a lot. So, yeah, they were able to clear a few things. Although, like I said, consequences will be coming. So,
well, given it wise, I feel like, I mean, it's always so tempting to say ask a question, but then we did discuss the Whately camera case quite a bit. So maybe a clue makes sense.
Okay.
That
So
we
you
kind of
this is
in
something
our
you can create. You can put your thumb on the
right.
scale and create something. So for right now, as you're figuring it out, you can put Val TBD under Waitley camera until you figure out what you
Yeah,
stumble
I'll
upon.
give
Give
it
it some
some
thought.
thought. Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm thinking of perhaps something that came up in our conversation
Either the
that
conversation or
suddenly, that when we cross-referenced what we both experienced, be it something jumped out as particularly relevant or something.
again, it would tickle me
Mm.
pink to think that you two, in some way, shape, or form, were on the field on opposite sides for the actual myth, for the actual myth or
I'm not sure Val
legend.
is that old.
I,
I
look
think
now. I mean,
Kemuel is.
again, if it's tied into the Waitley camera in some way, it would not surprise me. But anyway, yeah, think on it. All right. Um.
I did come up with that question for Marybelle.
All right.
I would
So let's
like
go
to.
back to yeah.
I apologize, Amanda, for what I'm about to ask.
Go for
You know you
it.
never have to apologize. You know I'm going to be here for it.
Which hunter has taught you the best life lesson, or your favorite life lesson, and what was it? We've all done a lot of teaching of Marybelle. This
Hmm.
vulnerable moment, no exception.
It's
I
Daymond
like the idea
fishing for
that
compliments there.
I like the idea that Mr. Gray has asked that like out loud to Marybelle.
Yes.
And they, on their way out the door, they turn and say, while all of my fellow hunters have taught me immensely, I do believe that going forward I should be taking more advice, or at least demonstrating more decision making like Kemuel. I've determined that there are things that I want and things that I do not want, and I'm equally determined to have them. Kemuel stops at nothing to get what they want, and I believe that is an admirable trait. The opposite of weakness, so to speak. Do you agree that a person should go after what they want?
Not at the expense of others. And I imagine there's a little voice that says exclusively at the expense of others.
I think that's when I open the door and step out and look sort of sideways back. Perhaps you should take your own advice, Mr. Gray. Good night. Close the door and leave.
Okay then. So currently, if I remember correctly, the guests that are ensconced in the household are Hattie Hemsley, Prince Rupert, and now Isobel. So you can also engage with any one of those, or not. Engage any vulnerable scenes with each other still, or stumble upon any complications. And I have things coming. And then I can get to the new mystery. So again, anybody have any other scenes that they want to get into before I ask Val about their clue?
Suppose Daymond would try and seek out Kemuel,
Okay.
wearing the new suit, Mr. Bean.
Still day, still morning, maybe.
Question for you. Where did you acquire the skull in the front hall?
Where did we pick it up?
I would assume. But that wasn't explicitly the question asked. Where did you acquire it?
Let us first take note of your charming new ensemble. We cannot let time pass without commenting on how extraordinary you are looking this fine morning. We brought the skull down from our room.
And before that, when
Uh,
did you first acquire it?
The owner of the skull we encountered on an outing with Ms. Helmsley to a tea shop.
Recently, then. Did you acquire the skull willingly from its owner?
That seems a hard question to answer.
It should be the easiest of all the questions I've asked you, Kemuel.
They did not remark. He did not remark either way as to any preference. We proceeded in our normal fashion. We confess we did not ask his opinion. He was a bit tongue-tied, perhaps. He looks much more fetching as he is now than he did before. Don't you think?
I don't know what he looked like before, so I have nothing to compare.
Oh, you're quite right.
One final question before I leave you for this day. Did you kill the man who owned that skull?
We ate him, yes.
I am a liar and a fool, Kemuel. I said that there was one more question, and there are volumes of questions for which to follow up. I'm just going to have to ask, aren't I? What do you mean that you ate him?
We took our sustenance from the life of this man. And the skull was among those bits that remained.
To clarify the mental image of your beautiful visage doing this, knife and fork or something more in my area of expertise?
Mr. Gray, would you like to see our true face?
I sense something as voracious as our own. This could be fun.
Yes. I would be honored.
And they sit down on the floor, cross-legged, smile at you, throw their head back, and that shimmering, fiery vapor rises from between their lips as the kind of floats in the air as the body collapses like strings on a marionette being cut. And it kind of floats towards the ceiling of the room, just regarding you and sort of shimmering.
Do not know why you picked such an ugly visage to take your physical form. You are are truly undeniable.
And I think maybe the body starts to stir and looks up, afraid at first, and then sees you and says, "Mr. Is that you, Mr. Gray? Have you come to help me?"
Hello?
Did you not hear me before?
Uh,
I asked for your help. It's me. We spoke before. My name's Treasure.
I think Daymond Gray will get down on all fours and get close to the child. You're real. You're not like the threads. How? What do you need me to do?
We just want you to end this. We've been here for so long. We're so tired. I'm so tired. It's only hungry.
I would like to ask Mark an out-of-game question. Kemuel and Treasure are currently separated. I have no idea. I doubt it's within Damon's powers, but the ability to trap a specific person or creature or bar a person or creature from a specific place could hypothetically, in the loosest of maybes, do this. Is this something that you would like me to attempt?
I'm certainly willing to roll with it. That could be interesting.
In that case, because you said like a marionette, I would like to take the tan threads of my coat and the silver threads that pull at me and pull at both of them together from the wrist or the collar and sew them into a cage around Treasure. Not a cage to keep in, a cage to keep out. And I would like to write some salt and smoke.
Oh man. Oh, this is great. Oh, I'm so here for it. Oh, absolutely. I'm gonna do something unique, but because of the circumstances and what you're planning on doing, I'm gonna cause you a little bit of disadvantage for this. Reason being is because you're using the suit, you are engaging with not only your own magic, but with Fey magic mixed in with this. So you're fucking around with something that you're not even sure is gonna work.
Mhm.
I'm giving you disadvantage.
Absolutely.
Sensitivity.
I'm looking at my witch's cupboard and I still have things that can be pulled out of it.
It's fine.
We are in Hargrave House. There is...
Give yourself everything that you possibly can to get
I'm
yourself back on
just
balance.
trying to figure out what the most thematically appropriate one is. I think it's a chime.
Okay.
A simple chime that serves as a sound that serves as the key to this cage.
Perfect. You will now be rolling straight on sensitivity.
7 on the dice with sensitivity. That's a 10.
Nice. Magic works without further cost. Choose your effect.
I've done this before, but I will once again ask Mark. Banish the creature from you, trap it outside of Treasure. This is more your moment than mine.
I like the idea of and maybe Mads, what you think about this too, but I kind of like the idea of since this is going to succeed, if that entity is sort of banished from Hargrave House
Mm.
and turned over to fate, or like if treasure is what remains, I could play that. Depending on how you want to go with it, I'd be open to whatever makes sense.
Hold on a second.
Like out of the physicality of Hargrave House, but
Are you talking about retiring Kemuel?
I I could, yeah, I mean I could do that, or I could play treasure as the undeniable that's left. I don't know, that would be weird. But I'd be willing I'd be willing to do a number of things, but I would be willing to retire the character,
Interesting.
or I'd be willing to continue it in whatever fashion makes sense.
We shouldn't have done
Technically,
this.
like, what's the one? Doesn't it? Let me look at the masks here.
Because there's another option that could
Oh,
be very
yeah.
unique. But go ahead and give me your idea, Mark.
Well, actually, the thing I was thinking of wasn't a mask. It's the result from the reflection being, all the boxes being checked and the reflection being scarred,
And then which is?
where they become a servant of the mastermind if they
Uh-huh.
don't accept redemption.
Okay.
But I had that mixed up with a mask in my head.
Because basically what I was thinking was, and this is unique, Kemuel, the spirit locked out of treasure, becomes the servant of the mastermind, but treasure becomes Mr. Gray's factotum.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that is awesome. I would totally do that.
So,
Oh, that's a great idea.
oh my God.
This
All
is
right.
outstanding. This is crazy.
I'm so sorry that I've broken Marybelle's heart.
No, this is amazing. Are you kidding me? This is amazing.
I'm just like barely breathing right now. I'm just like, this is so good. Okay, sorry. Anyway, yes. So please tell me. This is again, we're weaving the story. So taking it from Mr. Gray, tell me how you weaving this suit around treasure, or weaving the threads around treasure, are locking this presence out of not only treasure, but banishing it out of Hargrave House, what you say, what you do, and then now binding treasure to you as your servant, but not in that way.
Mhm.
And treasure, what it now means to you to be tied to Mr. Gray as his factotum. And we can fill in all the details in a minute.
It is what starts as a shield, a small snippet of a larger garment, tan in color, with silver speckles throughout it. And then the silver grows. There's probably a dark voice in the back of Mr. Gray's head says more. And then a delicate, almost fey-like voice. More. And the voice of a now dead plant. More. And this concoction keeps growing bigger and bigger. And an old sailor trapped on an island 1,000 miles away. More. And this this shield, this cage keeps getting bigger. And as soon as it touches, Kemuel begins to push. And as the voices keep crying, clawing for more, their hunger attempting to take this spirit in. Eventually, a small model appears around a treasure. It is a house, roughly 3 stories tall. An exact replica of Hargrave House. And as soon as the suit coat itself is threadbare and tattered, it begins to grow of its own accord, passing through furniture, passing through Daymond, passing through a workshop somewhere in the basement, passing through Valentine, passing through Hattie, Marybelle, Isobel, passing through all of them, all of the things that make Hargrave House. And it just sits. And anyone for centuries that walks past Hargrave House, just out the corner of their eye, thinks they will see the house shimmer. And I feel that this is the most Daymond has exerted himself in a very long time. And he collapses in front of Treasure.
And I think Treasure would kind of dive forward and try to catch Daymond, cradling him as best they could, and say, "It's gone. I can't believe you did it. It's been so long. You have no idea how long it's been. I owe you everything. I can have a life now. I don't know how I can ever repay you, Mr. Gray. But I'll spend as long as it takes trying. Thank you so much." And he'll just, hug you.
I think that around you, Treasure, there's some kind of, it's like a manifestation. It's a mere pale copy of the suit that Hazel Beaumont had made, but again, it's an amalgamation of all these powers that Daymond had called upon to free you, to shield you against Kemuel's influence and power. So you are essentially wearing like the knockoff version of this suit. And Daymond, I want to know what visual manifestation of this power surge is now shown on your person.
The threads are no longer hidden. They appear everywhere.
Okay.
Silver scars, the kinds of things that you'd expect from someone who spent years being whipped, and things being scars being healed over centuries. They cover his face, his arms, his hands. They mark him.
I know it's not normally a permanent thing, but I think you're going to have this for quite some time. So basically, silver scars forever is your condition. So yeah, that was a lot. Wow. Okay, we'll need to take a break. Definitely, let's do 10 minutes before I introduce the new threat somehow. Holy crap. And then, Mark, you can, I guess, somehow retire Kemuel, and then I'll explain how the spirit gets locked out, and then you can move into the factotum sheet, and we can populate as we go. We'll go from there. So yeah, we have a new hunter. Oh God, I love this. All right, I know it's not the usual thing, but God damn it, it's like it's part of the story now. So yay! All right, so 10 minutes. Yeah. So back at the Nine
And
Mark.
somehow I've still got to think of a clue, which I managed
Yes,
to total
sorry.
blank after that.
Sorry. God damn. Think on it. You got 10 minutes. All right, great. See you then. Okay, so we're back. Wow. Holy crap. So before we get into some more housekeeping, anybody else want to have any more scenes to try and follow that one up? Okay, great. Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to say that the camera is following the spirit of Kemuel as it's forced out of the house. And it is racing across London, like trying to search for a home. And it's trying to find something very specific, somebody very specific to go into. And yeah, it alights. It's almost like there's a bit of a beacon being set up for it, as we see the camera seem to alight onto what we know now as the Teatro dell'Arte, and it dives into the theater, and we don't see anything as it makes its way through the darkness, and then it kind of floats and hovers and pushes its way through the darkness until it makes its way to the stage, and then a spotlight chinks on, and then the spotlight seems to illuminate this floating cloud as a very feminine voice says, "Oh, we have been expecting you. Thank you for making it so timely. We have someone waiting to receive you. They have been waiting for some time. Come, the body is prepared, and you shall be glorious once again." And the camera closes in very close to the cloud and then winks out as the spotlight shuts off. And we come back to Hargrave House, where we see Treasure still cradling Daymond Gray, who's now silver scarred. And do you think that the suit is still somewhat intact, or you think that since now Treasure is wearing a knockoff version of it, it's like it's kind of, you know, bit in shreds, or it's more threadbare now? What is the state of the Hazel Beaumont suit?
The shirt and tie completely unaffected. The pants probably completely unaffected.
Mhm.
Knowing that it was made by a fae, it is no longer a suit coat. It is a vest. All of the threads have re-sewn themselves, given the amount of material still available.
Marybelle, I think this is how you see when you come from where you come. I think this is what you see when you see Kemuel, well, who you thought was Kemuel, cradling Daymond on the floor. What do you think of that?
Hello. Am I intruding?
Hello, Marybelle. Mr. Gray's Mr. Gray's taken he's had a bit of a faint.
Kemuel, are you ill?
Uh, no, Marybelle. My name is Treasure.
I'm quite certain it's Kemuel.
Kemuel was the name that it chose, but Mr. Gray made it go away. Mr. Gray saved me.
You are not Kemuel,
No, my name is Treasure.
yet you look like Kemuel.
I
Sort of.
look like me. Kemuel looked like me.
What have you done to Mr. Gray?
He he did the most amazing thing, and then the house was small, and then it got big, and then he fainted. But
I think Marybelle rushes over to Treasure, to Kemuel, and by the neck picks him up against the wall using, her strength, their strength. Who are you?
yeah,
Val, do you think you have like enough, physical power to be able to move by this point? You would be hearing this ruckus at this point.
Yeah, I think I'll be making my way up there. Yes, you can have me appear in the scene whenever you feel appropriate.
This is damn appropriate. I mean, you see, you see Marybelle have Kemuel up by the throat, like the legs are dangling, can't touch the ground. Yeah, and Daymond's on the ground, like probably supine.
Marybelle,
Val, we have an intruder.
it's
Kemuel is an intruder.
This is not Kemuel.
it's hard for me to answer you with your hand
Yeah.
around my throat.
I very, very slowly lower him down and release my grip slightly, enough so that he can talk, but not enough so that he can get away. And I
Oh.
say, Kemuel could have talked with a hand around their throat.
I'll,
Who are you?
I'll answer any questions you want, but can we please make sure that Mr. Gray's okay first? And then you can do whatever you want with me. Just make sure Mr. Gray's okay.
Marybelle,
Val, would you be so kind?
don't hurt him, and I will attend to Mr. Gray. Yes.
Kemuel, what's going on? And Hattie comes out from, wherever she was.
This is not a great moment, Hattie. I believe you should leave.
What?
Get out of the room, Hattie.
What were you doing? Kemuel?
Get out.
I don't understand. Who are you?
Don't be sad, Hattie. Kemuel is gone, but I'm here. I'm Treasure. I recognize you. You were so nice.
You look like them.
They look like me.
You don't sound like them. What is this?
I really think Mr. Gray would be better to answer all these questions, but as long as I know he's okay, I'll do anything you want.
What you'll do is stay right there.
Sure. Okay. I'll stay
You seem
right
to
here.
have him under control, Marybelle. Let
And
us
Mr. Gray?
take a moment. He's certainly alive.
I think Marybelle's hand relaxes slightly. So you did not kill him?
I didn't do anything. I just asked Mr. Gray for help, and he helped me. He set me free.
Free from what?
From the thing that's kept me in its grasp for all these years. It's gone now. Mr. Gray scared it away, I think.
And left us with you. Like this.
Yes, I'm what's left.
So
I release my hand completely. Pathetic. And walk away.
That's cruel.
It is not cruel, Hattie. It is just a description of the situation.
It sounds like he was trapped inside his own body. I know what that's like.
Another question raises its head. Where is Kemuel now?
Is Mr. Grey conscious? Obviously, he would be the one to...
I'm no physician, Hattie, but I don't believe he's seriously hurt.
His visage seems to indicate otherwise. And she waves it with her black-gloved hand. She kind of indicates all the silver scarring, but she pulls out something from her pocket, and you recognize it as essentially smelling salts, you know. And she'll kind of like wave it in front of you and say, "Maybe these will revive Mr. Grey." And she'll bend down and she'll kind of like wave them underneath his nose. "Mr. Grey! Mr. Grey! Come back."
No, I do not want the apple.
Mr. Grey. It's Hattie.
Hello, Hattie. How are you? I was just having the most wonderful dream.
That's nice. We seem to be in a bit of trouble.
Oh, no. Would you ask Treasure to deal with it? I'm not quite ready to get up.
Daymond,
Unless...
I think we need some answers before Marybelle rips someone's head off.
No, Marybelle loves Kemuel. There's no reason for her to do that. And he'll slowly get up and take a seat in one of the posh chairs, the sitting room. I like the almanac and am an open book.
Can you explain to us what happened? Who is this? This is not Kemuel.
No, this is who Kemuel tortured. Kemuel is not a mortal like you. And he'd look and point a finger and like gesture towards Hattie, realize she's a skeleton. Marybelle, realize a doll, and basically go around the room, skipping Treasure and pointing back at himself. The only mortal in the room. And much like I am able to bargain with that which inhabits my mind, Kemuel had a much deeper hold on Treasure, and through sheer hubris, separated itself from the lovely young boy you see before you. And I think we have banished it from this house, hopefully forever.
But will this spirit go back in if Treasure leaves?
Well, it would. Kemuel wasn't one to take a grudge lightly. Daymond, what have you done?
I answered a scared child's cry for help. I think I've done the first noble thing I've done in my entire life.
So that is much to your credit, Daymond. But I fear what Kemuel will seek to do now, if it is in their power to do anything.
That we do not know. They could simply die. They could find another host. But that is a problem for another day.
Mr. Gray, I do not believe you stupid enough to believe that Kemuel would die. It is likely that you have destroyed this house with this action.
Marybelle, if what Mr. Gray says is true, then it seems that Kemuel gave him no choice. If I had known the truth, then I believe I would have done the same if it were in my power.
If the morality of Kemuel was ever in question, we can ask the skull in the foyer what Kemuel did to it. They claimed they ate him.
I think Val at that point would look at Hattie. Is that what happened to you?
He did not consume me. He merely claimed me. But in a way that is somewhat the same.
Was it he that robbed you of your flesh?
No. That thing I had done on my own. I experimented on myself. He merely claimed me because he thought I was beautiful.
That, Hattie, does not mean that you are any less useful or welcome in this house. You are under this house's protection for as long as you wish to remain here.
Are you going to be all right, Mr. Gray?
It is amazing seeing what all of this power can do together. If only they wouldn't fight. When they fight, they are more dangerous than if they worked together. We must be better than them. Marybelle, treasure is of Hargrave House, just as Kemuel was. You may not like that Kemuel is gone, but please think of treasure as someone else to learn from. A wealth of experiences, perhaps more human for you to experience.
I will try. However, I do not understand this decision.
It is not treasure's decision to have been made. If you are
No,
to,
it is yours.
and if you are to hate any of us, hate me.
I cannot hate you, Mr. Gray. I just do not understand.
Treasure
You
and
say, make decisions based on all of the information that you have. Try to make the best decision you can to help people. And yet, the best decision in this case is to have Kemuel, who is ultimately much more powerful and strong than this boy, helping us. This city is in trouble, and you know this. You've just put us at a detriment. For what? For one person? And now the entire city must suffer? I do not understand.
If Kemuel really did do this thing to treasure, then was he really someone we could put our trust in, Marybelle?
Have you never done anything terrible, Val? Have you never hurt anyone, Mr. Gray?
I've
We
done
have all
terrible
done terrible
things.
things, and yet we must trust each other. But Mr. Gray takes it upon himself to make decisions for the household. I accept that you are here, Treasure, but I do not take it lightly.
Thank you. And I think in that moment, Treasure, while the conversation was going on, had fetched a glass of brandy, and he brings it over. Here, Mr. Gray, have a drink of this. This should help fortify you.
Thank you, Treasure.
I promise I won't be any trouble. I'm just here to help.
Thank you. You will be no trouble at all. You are simply someone who asked for help, and you should not apologize for asking for help. And I'll take a sip of the brandy. Now then, as Marybelle pointed out, I have put us in grave danger. And to rectify that, I'll take a shaky step out of the chair.
Let me help you.
Thank you, Treasure. We'll be the first to get back to work.
And I think at this point, this is where Isobel comes out from, by where the conservatory was, and goes over to Val and says, "Why aren't you resting in the conservatory? I heard all this ruckus. Are you all right? Should you be up and about?"
I had no choice. So I had to see what was going on. But, well, I don't have the words to explain it. I don't think perhaps you should speak to Mr. Gray, Isobel. But suffice it to say that the person, Kemuel, that I warned you about is apparently no longer here.
And yet he seems to be helping Mr. Gray.
That is no longer Kemuel.
You did say this was going to be quite the confusing household. You were not just jesting, were you?
Let me apologize for whatever it is that I've dragged you into here.
No need. I'm more concerned about your well-being. Do you need me to check on those bandages to make sure that you have not torn anything or disturbed anything?
Certainly.
And before she, leads you back to maybe your room or something like that, I think Hattie will just grab you by your arm and says, "You are quite lucky, Val. Don't discount what moments you have." Before she turns away and kind of stares back at who is now Treasure and watches them, help Daymond. Yeah. As everybody else gets sorted. Oh boy. Just as a review, let's just go over this before we go through Treasure's stats and such. Wow. We still have Spider Silk Seamstress on the board. 3 different opportunities that you can take: a complexity 4, complexity 6, or complexity 8. You have 3 clues on the board so far. And then we have Waitley Camera, one question, two separate opportunities that get rolled into the question, but you can pursue them both when the question's answered. And that's a complexity 8, and you only have 4 clues available to that threat so far. And then there's a new one that is going to be approaching your door as you all get sorted out. Yeah, after all the hubbub is going on, I think late this morning. Granted, you had the invitation to the autumn masquerade, but there's something strange about this season. The weather has gone mad, essentially. Feels like winter, then rain, then feels like spring almost, but then goes into an autumn warmth, and then goes right back down into a wintry mix yet again. And so we seem to be nearing a holiday, but yet a masquerade is going to be happening soon, held by Hazel Beaumont. And actually, the theme is autumn, so it's not going to necessarily be held in the fall. But we are approaching the holidays. And later this morning, there is a young woman that knocks on the door of Hargrave House. Who actually answers the door after all this hubbub is going on? Is it one of the hunters or is it one of the guests?
I'll answer the door. I think I'm in a bad enough mood that I don't want to be around anybody, any of the other hunters right now.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think it's a modest knock, actually. It's somebody that just gently knocks on the door and doesn't use the bell for Hargrave House. And you see a young Irish woman standing out there. Hello.
Hello.
Is this Hargrave House?
Yes, I'm Marybelle. Who are you?
I am British Ryan. I live in Seven Dials. I was recommended to come over here to Hargrave House. I have a very strange circumstance. I just need to tell someone, and I was told to come here and tell you all.
Very well, you can tell me.
Last night, there was a group of 7 mummers came into the department on Dudley Street, where I live. And I share the apartment with my daughter, Mary, and a number of the other boarders, and, well, of course they were all in masks, and they were just wearing these costumes and clothing, and, the mummer that led them was in this great Beelzebub costume. They were just all, playing the fife and the drum and the spoons and everything, and the children were just so happy and delighted. But then the Beelzebub just spoke in this raspy voice, and he banged on his big monkey stick on the floorboards, and he asked the adults to guess who he was. Guess who I am under this disguise, he says. I'll give you 3 chances to devise. Guess it correctly, and I'll grant you a boon. If all guesses are wrong, I'll play you a tune, he says. We all tried.
But you did not know him.
No, we every guess that we had, bang his stick, and he'd reply in a verse. No, I'm not Deirdre O'Leary. She's at the workhouse or in World Weary. No, I'm not Petey Fitzgerald. He's with his bow getting thoroughly barreled. No, I'm not Killian McNally. He's into his cups and passed out in the alley. No correct guesses at all. And then he pulls out a fiddle. The mummers performed a carol, and we were so jolly, we just started dancing along, and she starts to dance on your doorstep. and the dancing turned more frenetic. We just started to go and go faster and faster. We just flailed our limbs all over the place. It wasn't even dancing anymore. And we spun until I couldn't even see because of the sweat in my eyes and couldn't breathe and I was sick. And we danced all night. And when the dawn broke, I was tired, exhausted. The mummers gone. And my daughter be gone too. Can you help me? Can you help us?
Well,
Please.
certainly Scotland Yard would have.
No, they don't care about us. It's just this. Mary was the second child taken in the same manner. Last 2 nights, according to something. We have a local newspaper in our neighborhood. Here's the broadsheet. And the broadsheet says that there's a young man named Matthew Murray, who Mary attended school with, who also disappeared after a visit from the mummers as well. Scotland Yard, according to the broadsheet, believes that it's just the poor Irish children who ran away from the slums, and they refuse to investigate. So, I heard rumors that Hargrave House, solves these kinds of things, or helps at least, and I really hope that you all can do something about this. Find my Mary, find Matthew, do something about this.
Of course, that's what we do. The household is in disrepair right now, and should not have visitors. It is disorganized, messy. There is a mess. We will. I will confer with my colleagues, and we will investigate your case immediately.
Again, we are in the Seven Dials neighborhood, and I live on Dudley Street. You can ask at the local. They'll know me, Bridget Ryan. All right, and if you need to talk with me again, please just come, help us.
Very well. Have a good day. I close the door. For the record, I've got my mummer's mug. Not on purpose. I just have my mummer's mug out today.
Yep.
It just so happened that this was my coffee mug going. Because it's Christmas and, it's my Christmas mug.
Yep. And Marybelle will, once gets all together, maybe, gets you all, together and, recounts the story. Maybe once you get yourself a little bit more together, Daymond, what detail in Bridget's story leads you to believe that Beelzebub is the only actual living being in the group of mummers?
Stupid high sensitivity giving me this one.
Sorry.
No. When they enter or exit a place, she is always dead center of the pack of 7. She's 4th in line, and everyone moves in unison, matching her, as if a single actor on a stage is controlling an army.
Questions and opportunities. The first question unlocks the others. Now that question is, how is Beelzebub controlling the other mummers? Complexity 2. All right, so once you get that, then you can unlock the next questions. And there is a threat mask associated with this called the Mummer's Mask. So I'll put all this into the threat doohickey in a little bit. Sorry, should have done that before. But anyway.
Oh,
yeah.
I can do it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you have the neighborhood of 7 Dials to go play with. There is a time limit to this, but I mean, because we're not really doing this around timey-wimey, it's kind of thing. Let's just say 3-day phases to do this, because this is more holiday oriented. But I mean, you know, we're taking a break after this, so so yeah, you can investigate around the Seven Dials Juncture. You can do like around Bridget Ryan's apartment on 43 Dudley Street. There's a courtyard. There's the printing press that the broadsheet was printed and distributed. The Crown Public House is what she was talking about, the ale house. And there's a little school that's associated with this thread as well. And all the fun people associated. That's your new threat on top of the other 2. So, yeah, 3 active threats now on the board. And in consideration for this, let's go back to treasure. So it's essentially like where we are introducing a new character. And with that, you just tell us, like, you know, what your look is, which we sort of know. Like, you know, you're doing like a knockoff suit of Daymond Gray's Hazel Beaumont suit. But there is a specific look here. What your vice is. And we'll do your personal quarters items together. Okay. I'm going to read the little blurb because that's always fun. So, for a factotum, you had a life before you entered the service of your employer, but the details of that life are unimportant. All that matters now is the person you serve, and Hargrave House, where you will grow ancient and die if you're lucky. More likely, your employer's colleagues, these hunters, will be the end of you, overturning things that should remain hidden and goading on terrors that will dwell in dark places. You'll do your best to help them, of course, to keep them alive, because without them, what are you, really? So, please tell us, Mark, about treasure in the employment of Daymond Gray.
Yes, I think treasure. I think in addition to the knockoff suit, treasure has maybe foraged some things out of what was Kemuel's room from those wardrobes, and so they have a single piece of gold jewelry. It's a little gold tie pin that looks like fire, like a flame, and a black umbrella and dark maroon boots. And their vice, I think, given that their life hasn't been very comedic up to this point, their vice is comedies.
All right. So, given what we know from the blurb as well as from how treasure looks, and you can conceivably borrow from the, you know, obviously the Kemuel's picture, but, you know, knowing that it's more mild. What do we think is in Treasure's personal quarters?
He has to have a collection of the news sheets that were Kemuel's reflection, dating back. I would leave that up to Mark quite some time, conceivably.
That's awesome.
I think you have a collection of very fine bow ties.
Great. Amazing.
Well, there is a personal quarters item for a factotum near and dear to my heart, originally given to me by Mads many months ago, many sessions ago in a different campaign. I'm going to save that. Mads, did you want to give that? Otherwise, I can.
No, feel free and give it to him.
Mark, it is a fine teak box. Its contents you keep hidden from everyone.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah.
I think every good factotum has a very sturdy umbrella. there is just a few minutes, you know, so either one or two more scenes, or you can decide where you want to go for the next part of day phase, because we'll do a day phase for next session, plus we'll also do dusk, possibly into a very punchy night. Who knows? God knows there's some goddamn great character stuff in this one. Holy crap, a doodle do. Because this is our last session before we go on break.
I, for one, vote to save investigating till next time.
Yeah, I feel like I can't really top what's going on now, you know? Like I feel like going off and investigating will be anticlimactic.
Okay. Well then let me give you guys do I or don't I? A small stinger. So I think we go back to the Teatro dell'Arte and we hear what sounds like a lot of mechanical sounds, like gears, like banging, hammering, all that sort of thing, as if the sets are being built or machinery being made or something like that. And it's kind of dark, but then there's spotlights or lights being tested on stage, and then we see maybe fog machines being kind of like tested or rolled in for the stage. And we see there's a particular tableau that looks like it's being blocked onto the stage. As the fog rolls in as part of the scene, the lighting becomes cold and white. In strides the Shoreditch slugger, this perfect, tall, muscular specimen of a man, and this light in their eyes that does not come from any elixir or any tattoo or any symbols on their body, but just seems to come from some light inside. And maybe every so often it seems to be a mist that plumes from their eyes and maybe their nostrils, but maybe it's part of the fog machine, who knows? But they stride in and they look around. They're dressed as they were in the bout club, just almost like a Grecian tunic, less to wear, just more to wrestle in or to fight. And they address someone that is currently off stage. So when do we make the charge against them all? And the distant voice, which sounds disembodied and unclear, says, "Patience, patience. All pieces are still being placed on the board. Some have been changed, some have been adjusted, as you well know. Some have been, well, reworked. Patience." And then from a different camera angle, we see a hooded figure approach the stage from the audience side, and moving fingers alongside this hood just stand there and move the fingers as if manipulating something that we don't see. And we hear a voice say, best decision ever, mio figlio. You have given me another wonderful gift. And fade to black and credits roll. Stars and wishes.
What my wish is, and that's that I can come up with a clue that is actually fitting to the total chaos that went on today.
It's like
Session.
maybe it doesn't come up until we actually get to answering the
Yeah.
question, and then you put your thumb on the scale, and then you're like, "Oh, here's the clue." You know what I mean? It's
I'm
like,
gonna be thinking about it all week because it's gonna be
Sure.
something to do with
Yeah.
Kemuel.
Well, you have a couple of weeks because we're not going to be playing for a
Yeah.
bit.
But yeah, in terms of stars, I mean, where do I even start? It's like, I really loved Amanda's mask for Marybelle, and like that story is coming together in my mind now, and is really cool. And are we going to get to meet the witch one day? Maybe. Yeah, and then, well, I don't know. I mean, I really felt for just a couple of weeks now that we were heading for a showdown between Val and Kemuel, and instead we got Daymond Gray beating Val to the punch. What a wild turn of events that was. Yeah, I don't know. It kind of threw me for a loop, and I'm not exactly sure how to have Val react just yet, but I will be thinking on that over the next couple of weeks. And like, there are some interesting possibilities brewing in my mind already. Like, do we take treasure to the Abernethys and have him pose as Kemuel in order to complete his portrait? How do we talk treasure into that? Is that like an okay thing to do as far as I was concerned? Yeah, wow. Much to think about. Yeah, I don't have anything coherent for stars really because, wow.
My mind is just blown. I'm sorry. Like I can't right now with anything. I can't even right now. That's how much I can't. Holy moly. Okay, well, I mean, that whole thing, the entire scene with Gray and Kemuel and Treasure, and making sure that it was cool. I mean, of course you did, Jeremy. Like, that's just how you play. You want to play safe, which is awesome. But the Mark that you just went for it. What is happening? And now the shortage slugger is the undeniable. We're fucked. We're so screwed. Oh my god. Okay. So anyway, back to stars. Jeremy, when you were asking Kemuel about the skull, that whole bit was great. But I think the part that I liked the most was with a knife and fork, or and then Mark, you responded with Kemuel showing Gray their true face. And it was so spooky. Like, it was such a good moment. And then Gray's response to it, it was perfect. It was like rehearsed perfect. It was great. It was absolute solid. I'm really loving Treasure. I know Marybelle hates Treasure, but Amanda loves Treasure. I think Treasure is going to be a really interesting character with this sort of almost naive aspect that was sort of Marybelle's shtick in the house, but it has been less and less so over time. And now Treasure being sort of not naive isn't really the word I'm looking for, but sort of new to this whole thing, and wanting to do a good job and wanting to, impress people. In your case, it's just Gray, but I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see how this plays out. I also really love that Treasure is like the opposite of Kemuel, like in almost every way. It's going to be a really fun role playing challenge for you, and you are absolutely up for it. And I'm so excited to see more. Oh, and we didn't really get to see a lot of Isobel and Val this time around, but I'm very much looking forward to how that drama is going to start picking up, because it's going to start picking up. Like what's Val gonna, with all this craziness going on, what's Val gonna do about this, this situation? I'm wondering like what's gonna happen if Isobel goes back to the mirror area. I don't know. I'm really looking forward to all of that. I'm looking forward to seeing more of how Val deals with all of this chaos, because I get the feeling that a lot of Val's drive is in order to prevent chaos in their life, because of the whole, time shenanigans already causing a lot of chaos, keeping things, not keeping things simple, but simplifying the process, simplifying things in their life when they can, because of how much chaos and drama has already happened to them. So I'm really looking forward to more of that. I'm still like just mind blown right now. This is bonkers. Oh, Jeremy, I really liked your answer to the question in the Mummers mystery, with the Beelzebub always being dead center, the fourth in line, and everyone kind of marches in order like an army. Because it made me think of a dance, and I thought that was really great. Really, really awesome. Mads, you are going to have lots of accents to throw at us, and I am not sorry about that. So have fun. um, yeah, I'm really excited, really looking forward to playing this threat, because I've never played it ever. In fact, I'm pretty sure the only person who's ever run it was you, Mads. So far. So hopefully this will be a good playtest to see if it holds up the way I want it to. Yeah, Mads, you were on the ball with reacting to everything. I know that this was sort of a game facilitator light, or as Jason Cordova says, almost GM zero situation where there wasn't a lot of rolls called. I don't think I rolled once, but I didn't need to because there was so much going on that it would have just taken us out of it. Um, you were really rolling with the punches here, and that last stinger, I'm just, I'm just though. What? Okay, I need to know everything about you, Mr. Gray. I need to understand what's going on. I need to understand everything about Val. I need to understand everything about Treasure. I need to piece all of these puppets together into a world that I understand, because this is getting bonkers. So yeah, those are my stars, and they're not very coherent, but whew, woo.
Again, ditto to everything that's been said and will be said. Mark, thank you for taking this spur of the moment, dumb idea and running with it. I don't know if this was what you wanted out of Kemuel, if Treasure was ever going to break free or just going to be a little mystery piece. But the second you had the opportunity to be rid of Kemuel, you took it. And to let go of a character this late into a campaign with plenty of masks still to burn is a bold choice. And I love the way that you play the between. Amanda, I wrote this one before all the craziness, but in your mask, you had a transition line that I genuinely thought was going to be the saddest, most horrific part of the entire session when you said it. And that line was that there's never enough time when transitioning from the girl being sick to deceased. And that just kind of broke me, because it hit the second you said the line of, oh God, the kid's dead. And having to wait for you to finish telling us that stung in a way that really resonated with me. Rob, I'm so upset that we once again let Val take the neutral route. You kept the peace, you didn't, and it's very much in Val's character to want that. And a star for finding that path amidst a sea of chaos. And I now absolutely need to know what it's going to take to push Val out of that calm and steady path. Mads, if that ending monologue that you gave by the mastermind was off the cuff and you didn't have anything prepared, there's something wrong with you. You're living in her head so hard that you might need to step out, because that felt so her, of actually someone pulling the strings. And it was beautiful. It stung so much harder than a normal stinger did, and it was great. As far as a wish, I've wished for things that I don't expect to ever happen. And this particular one, I know I'm not going to get, but I would love to know the rest of Kemuel's masks, where you had planned, even the sketch of it. And I don't need it, but I kind of want it.
Yeah, I will send the thank you right back to you, Jeremy. I think I just wrote in my notes, like, holy shit. Because like proposing to use the right of salt and smoke, like, was not something I was expecting at all. And but it was like something so good, it had to be snatched in the moment. And like the description then that you crafted of Kemuel literally being cast out of Hargrave House, I thought was so vivid. It was such cool magic. Really, really amazing. Rob, I really enjoyed that opening vulnerable scene between Val and Kemuel and the sort of jousting back and forth. It was really fun. I loved like Val being so clear about Isobel being under their protection. And it makes me, it too makes me wish, or it makes me sad that we won't see that confrontation that was brewing between Kemuel and Val, but maybe we will, with Kemuel in a different form.
There's also always the Errant's blood-soaked portal as well, which might be an appropriate little cameo return for Val at some point, and not for Kemuel as well.
Amanda, I really, there's so many little lines that you dropped, but I loved, I'm echoing everything that everybody already said about the mask, but I particularly liked I find myself unimpressed with Hattie. And then I guess these were both in that vulnerable scene. You said, I have determined that there are things that I want, and I am determined to get them. Was so great. So such a twist that played in so well with the later vitriol directed at Treasure, and that like epithet of pathetic was so rich. Mads, that taunting voice that you kept interjecting to Daymond was so cool. And then just I gotta give my main star for that suggestion of switching to the factotum, because again, that wasn't anything I would have thought of, but it's like I'm very excited about it. So like really looking forward to seeing how that plays out. I really loved too seeing you portray Hattie's reaction to everything that happened. It was very nuanced and like went places I wasn't expecting. Wish, yeah, I'm just excited to see what happens when we come back from break.
just before, because Mads, I know you still want to go, but just before we do that, because I know you like to do your sign off thing. One thing is, I was thinking all the stuff that we didn't know at the beginning of this session and how it tied into the later parts of the session with Marybelle's mask about how there's never enough time, and how that echoed what Hattie was saying to Val about Isobel, and then looking back to Kemuel, who is gone now. I just clued into that and how those things tie together. And Marybelle, of course, telling Gray that they are inspired by Kemuel going for what they want and being strong, and then suddenly this other person. It just seems like all of these things tied in so freaking well, and none of it was planned, which is bonkers. Oh, I love it. I love it. Another thing I wanted to say is, like, from a mechanical perspective, the Undeniable is probably one of the most powerful playbooks in this game. Maybe the most powerful, but the one that might one up it in power is the Factotum. So I'm really, and they're almost the opposite in so many different ways. I'm really interested in seeing this shift. I also just think it's amazing that because the Undeniable as a character, like as a playbook, has so much staying power, it's very difficult to kill or retire an Undeniable. I have never seen it happen like before anybody else retires. I've never seen that happen, and I've played a lot of the between. So, dang, Mark, this is a first. I've also never seen the Undeniable become a side character that's the shortest slayer. I cannot get over this. It's blowing my mind. Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, really point out how spectacularly cool this is. Yeah, great suggestion with the factotum, Mads. Oh man, this is gonna be so cool. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, I had experienced like the Undeniable in my first campaign when Ben Bisogno was unable to finish out my first between campaign. He ended up definitely not redeeming himself, definitely not repenting or anything like that, and deciding I'm just gonna go with be a servant of the mastermind. So there you go. And then I brought the Undeniable back as an NPC for the finale for their season 1, which was absolutely hilarious. And the American got to give them get them back for some slights earlier in the campaign, which was awesome. So I have seen an Undeniable go out early, which was great. But this was a surprise even for me, and I mean, I totally appreciate just the willingness to go along with the story. I mean, like, just to see, I mean, like, here it is, the confrontation of the vessel going up against the Undeniable, and the Undeniable putting themselves in a position of like, haha, here's my true face. I'm going to do something about it because this is abhorrent to me. I'm going to, like, to cage, to banish you or to cage you out. All right. And then, holy crap, it's beyond stars. I mean, like, it's just like, again, everybody's willingness to just to really give a great fucking story and really just show what these characters are or be. I don't know. I have no explanation. So goddamn. Marybelle, obviously, like the star from The Mask, but also just the presentation of determinism and just saying, it's like, I'm picking Kemuel. Kemuel is going to be my role model, and I want to be like the decision maker, the powerful, the strong. And then next scene, whoops, that person is no longer here. Whoops. Who knew? Who knew that was going to happen? I had no idea. And then just the reaction of, what did you do with the person that I want to emulate? What did you do with why is this milk toast left? I don't understand. I don't understand, like, what I have to be like this human. No, I don't want to be like this human. Yeah, so all around some really excellent role playing, and I appreciate it so much. And then Val, I mean, you were more convalescent rather than like, in, dealing with your, well, actually you were mulling over your own personal stuff, in this moment, because you were trying to, I guess, have Kemuel keep away from the people that you were protecting, and then it turns out like you don't have to worry about that anymore, at least not from that end. And then try to play defense when Marybelle was like, "This isn't Kemuel anymore." Oh man. So yeah, I mean, like, now your relationship has changed, which should be interesting, because now it's like, how will you deal with this person who has the body that they've always had, but it is not the same person anymore. It is not the same spirit. So it is not the same soul. Yeah. So how everybody's going to deal with this, with Treasure now. Yeah. I so many stars. It's just, oh God. It's just a cosmic bursting full of stars for this episode today. I know I didn't have you roll. I know I didn't have you engage in a whole shitload of mechanics, but goddamn, you all told an amazing story. So I'm just in awe. I mean, like, you guys make this really fun for me. You guys make this so interesting to watch, and I keep coming back to this game for moments. Continual moments just like this. So keep it coming. I don't really have any wishes except for getting you through the last, because it is the last. These are the last 3 threats. You will get no more, because I will be laying on the siege soon. So if you have anything in particular that you are thinking about for your characters, think on them now, because yeah, it's going to go I think it's going to go very quickly once you start going through the Spider Silk Seamstress, Waitley Camera, and now 7 Dials. Okay. Again, Waitley Camera will have its own resolution session, its own resolution episode. I don't involve any other threats with that. There will be a siege-like event where, yeah, you're going to have to deal with Hargrave House being set upon. That's its own episode. And yeah, we'll see how it goes from there. All right. So yeah, I have no more words, because I am just, again, in awe of all of y'all, and it was an amazing episode, and happy gaming for anything that you're doing for the remainder of the year. Holy shit. Happy holidays for celebrations that you're going to have with your loved ones, and anybody else that you're celebrating with. Enjoy the rest of the year, because we will see each other next year and see what mayhem we cause. Oh, crap-a-doodle-doo. I want to write this up, but I don't know how. It's like, oh my God. Oh God.
Just screaming. Just screaming.
Just screaming. All right, guys, take care of yourselves. Hopefully we're all feeling much, much better by the new year and the next session. And yeah, I will see you in 2025. Oh my, unless it's for something else, like, before the year's over. Okay. So, alrighty. Take care.
Bye.
Happy gaming. All right, see ya.